Now is time for how to win as a crewmate in Among Us. It is pretty easy to win as a crewmate when there is just one imposter, but becomes a bit trickier when there are two imposters. And I suggest playing with two imposters to mix up the odds a bit and to challenge yourself a bit more. These steps have yielded up to a 90% success rate, and I can attribute most of that success to step number 1, which is bait. This is the best thing you can do in my opinion as a crewmate. You want to try and catch people in the act or just after the act as often as possible. You will want to double back as often as possible when you see one or two people heading into a room or simply in the opposite direction as you. Many crewmates will follow a path like this where you simply bounce between tasks. But you really should be following a path more like this, where you constantly reverse your tracks after seeing people pass by as well as checking every room you pass along the way. I could show you dozens of clips of me catching someone in the act or just after the act because many imposters just assume you will continue on your way and won't double back, at least not until you complete your next task. Number 2. If there are two imposters, don't assume that because someone is safe one round that they are safe the next. This is true of people you can vouch for as well, except in the case of visual tasks. A common mistake is for crewmates to give an individual a pass for the rest of the game if they have an alibi for any round. Do not make that mistake. Number 3. If visual tasks are on and you see someone do one, stick with them where possible, without acting sus. If you are going to win as a crewmate, you need to survive. The only way you can help win as a ghost is to finish all your tasks, and from my experience, crewmates rarely have time to win that way. You need to increase your likelihood of survival as often as possible, which ties into the next two tips. Number 4, do not enter a room with just one person in it if you have not cleared them, especially if no one saw you walk into that room with that individual. And if you do enter a room with an individual and you do not end up getting killed, remember that someone having the opportunity to kill you and not taking it is not immediate evidence of someone being a crewmate. Remember, imposters will try and make friends and have alibis, and simply not killing someone isn't reason enough to give someone a pass. Number 5, travel in threes where possible. This is helpful in games with one or two imposters. In the case of one imposter games, the imposter would be very unlikely to kill you with another crewmate present. In the case of two imposters, if you just happen to be unlucky enough to have both imposters with you, chances are that everyone else has an alibi, and the likelihood that one or both of those imposters will be found out because they killed you is very high. Sacrificing yourself to win the game is not a bad strategy. Number 6, stay attentive of everyone's location. Make sure you are, as often as possible, paying attention to who heads in which direction or in each room. If a body is found, you can help point out who was in the room or headed in the direction of the location the body was found, and that will help the other crewmates figure out exactly who had the opportunity to kill that person. Number 7, look for inconsistent stories and bandwagoners in discussion time. The imposters are going to do whatever they can to place themselves away from the body and will often resort to following the narrative of another crewmate's story, so long as it gives them an alibi. Be very attentive to the stories each person tells and when certain details don't line up. For example, someone saying they were in one room, then saying they were in another that is on the opposite side of the map. Also, look for those who are bandwagoners willing to vote for whomever they are told to vote for. The most common phrase I see imposters say is, "So who are we voting for?" Now, this isn't indicative of someone being an imposter, but I would suggest being very watchful of those individuals. If someone is pointing blame at anyone else but them, it is in their best interest to go along with it to make their job easier. Number 8, do the math. With two imposters, don't vote on 7. You must vote on 6 if both imposters remain. With one imposter, don't vote on 4, but you must vote on 3. When it comes to this point where you are forced to vote in order to ensure you don't lose, you have to hope that you have compiled enough evidence and information to be able to figure out who is most likely the imposter. Sometimes you are left with a 50-50 guess, but it is better to have a 50% chance of winning than a 0% chance if you simply don't vote. Number 9, with 4 people left, travel with someone, don't go alone. Preferably go with someone that you know is safe if possible, but if you are unsure, just go with anyone. Still take precautions such as keeping your distance if necessary, but if you and the other crewmates stick with this strategy, then even if you end up with the imposter and get killed, they will be able to vouch for each other and can figure out the imposter right away. Again, sacrificing yourself for a crewmate win is not a bad strategy. Number 10, depending on the number of tasks, it may be more beneficial to just investigate and bait. This is especially true in two imposter games. If there are more than 4 tasks per person, it is quite unlikely that you will be able to finish all the tasks by the end of the game. However, while investigating and searching various rooms, if there are enough people around, it may be in your best interest to do a short task in order to not look sus. But the more tasks you do, the more likely you are to die or to miss out on catching an imposter in the act. Those are my steps for winning as a crewmate. I definitely think number 1 and 6 are most important. People often trust those who are very attentive, and this can carry over to your games as an imposter as well. Let me know if I missed anything important, and let me know what other type of content you would like to see.